Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're a parent or guardian staring down the barrel of the upcoming school year, I know exactly how you're feeling right now. There's the piles of paperwork, the endless doctor's appointments to schedule, and that nagging feeling that you're forgetting one crucial form that'll somehow prevent your kid from starting class. Usually a printout of a utility bill you literally haven't received in the mail since, 2018. Back to school prep can be incredibly stressful, for sure. But take a deep breath. Today, we're going to transform that stress into empowerment. We're walking through a crystal clear, step-by-step roadmap based directly on the 2026 Illinois school enrollment and health requirements. By the end of this explainer, you're going to have everything you need to conquer enrollment day with total confidence. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive right into this roadmap. First, we'll cover the basic paperwork checklist, then proving your district residency. After that, health and immunization rules, followed by exemptions and special situations, and finally, we'll wrap up with actionable tips for a smooth enrollment.
Consider this your definitive guide to lowering your blood pressure. But right off the bat, I want you to honestly assess your readiness. Are you truly ready for day one? Think about it. Do you know where your child's original birth certificate is right now? Have you checked the absolute latest state health requirements? It's so easy to just assume that because you enrolled a kid 3 years ago, the process is exactly the same today. Actually, scratch that. It almost never is. Rules update, requirements shift, and local districts love to add their own specific hurdles. So let's unlock those school doors together and make sure you're truly ready.
Section 1. The basic paperwork checklist. Gathering your core documents.
Okay, before we get into the complex stuff, we've got to lay out the baseline identity and age requirements. These are the absolute non-negotiables, foundational documents that every single public school in Illinois is going to ask for to verify exactly who your child is. We can break these down pretty simply. You'll need the child's original birth certificate or an equivalent proof of age. You also need a valid parent or guardian ID and your emergency contact information. Now, notice that last point on the list, previous school records. If your child is going into kindergarten or first grade, proof of age is usually enough to get the ball rolling. But if you're transferring an older student, do not assume that age alone dictates their grade placement. Illinois schools rely heavily on prior report cards, transcripts, and transfer records to make sure your child is placed accurately. Age gets them in the building, but those prior records, that's what puts them in the right classroom.
Moving right along to Section 2, Proving your district residency, the boss battle of enrollment. So, if gathering your basic identity documents was just the warm-up, this is the main event. Illinois public schools are deeply tied to local districts, and this is, without a doubt, one of the most rigorous and highly scrutinized parts of the entire process. The crucial point here is understanding exactly what the state actually means by residency. It's not just casually telling the school where your child sleeps at night. It is the strict legal requirement to show formal, documented proof that directly connects both the child and the parent or guardian to a specific local address right inside the district's boundaries. This is the whole shebang. It's what verifies your legal eligibility to use that specific school system's resources.
So what does that proof actually look like in the real world? Well, you're looking at the most common district-approved documents, things like a current lease agreement, a recent mortgage statement, a utility bill, or official government correspondence. But here is the absolute critical takeaway for this. Residency rules are handled at the local level. While the state sets the baseline, your specific school district gets to make the final call on what they accept. Many districts are going to demand more than one document from this list. For instance, they might want a lease agreement plus 2 utility bills. So always check your local district-specific rules so you don't get turned away at the front office just because you're missing a single electric bill.
Next up, Section 3, Health and Immunization Rules, preparing for the 2026 to 2027 school year.
Now, I want you to think of this section not just as bureaucratic paperwork, but really as a story about community safety. Vaccine-preventable diseases can spread like wildfire in school environments, so the state takes this checklist incredibly seriously to protect everyone in the classroom. What's really interesting about this slide is how neatly the 2026-2027 Illinois Department of Public Health expectations break down for K-12 students. Under the core category, we've got polio, diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis, which are often bundled together. Moving to the viral category, we see the MMR vaccine, which covers measles, mumps, and rubella, alongside varicella for chickenpox. And finally, hepatitis B and meningococcal disease round out the list, depending on your kid's specific age and grade. It's basically a comprehensive shield designed to keep the whole school population healthy.
But hey, watch out for this specific and frankly kind of surprising pitfall regarding the MMR vaccine. According to the state's latest measles guidance, doses given too early in a child's life might not actually count toward the mandatory school requirement. Crazy, right?
This is a perfect example of why you literally cannot rely on memory alone when it comes to health forms. You might vividly remember holding your crying toddler while they got that shot, but if it was administered before the state-approved age window, well, the school is going to ask you to do it again. Always verify these records directly with your healthcare provider to be safe.
And you know, health documentation in Illinois is about much more than just a shot record. The official Illinois Child Health Examination form includes your standard periodic physical health exams, but it also mandates developmental screening and socially emotional screening information. This perfectly connects the enrollment process to your child's broader developmental readiness. The school wants to know, and frankly needs to know, not just that your kid is physically healthy, but that they are socially and developmentally supported and truly ready to thrive in a learning environment.
All right, Section 4. Exemptions in special situations, when standard rules don't apply.
Look, life is complicated. The state of Illinois completely recognizes that. Whether you have unique religious beliefs, maybe you're facing housing instability, or you're just dealing with a complex transfer situation, there are built-in safety nets and alternative procedures to make sure kids still get access to their education. But when standard rules don't apply, it is vital to understand that exemptions are absolutely not automatic. If you're seeking a religious exemption for vaccines, for example, you can't just write a quick letter to the principal. The process is highly procedural. It requires you to submit a very specific state-issued certificate of religious exemption, which the district will then review based on strict local and state guidelines. So if this applies to your family, you really need to read the current guidance carefully and start that process early, because temporary attendance is left entirely up to local enforcement practices.
The state also adapts to different living situations, and this brilliantly illustrates how. On one hand, you have standard enrollment, which demands that standard lease or mortgage we talked about earlier. But on the other hand, if a family is temporarily staying with relatives or experiencing homelessness, they don't get locked out of the system. Housing instability automatically triggers the state's school readiness program. Schools have alternative verification processes, and district staff are specifically expected to help families gather documents, rather than just turning them away at the door. It's a really compassionate safety net designed to prioritize the child's education above all else.
Special situations also include transferring students. If you're moving to Illinois from out of state, or honestly, even just switching districts within the state, you're going to need to bring some extra records to the table. You'll need academic transcripts, any existing special education plans or IEPs, and health documents from the prior school. And guys, these aren't just bureaucratic hoops to jump through. These specific documents are absolutely essential to ensure your child gets accurate grade placement and the immediate academic support they need on day one.
Finally, Section 5. Tips for smooth enrollment, your actionable pro tips.
Okay, this is our victory lap. We've covered the requirements, the medical forms, and the special circumstances. Now, let's move to how this all builds into a frictionless, chronological action plan. These are the pro tips that are going to save you time, stress, and multiple frustrating trips back to the school registrar. Step 1. Check your local district's enrollment page early. Like, don't wait for August, check it today to see their specific residency demands. Step 2. Gather the most current 2026 state forms. Illinois updates its health materials pretty regularly, so last year's printout you grabbed from your neighbor just isn't going to work. Step 3. Book the pediatrician or local clinic immediately. Doctor schedules fill up so fast right before school starts, and you definitely do not want your child missing the first week of class just because you couldn't get a timely appointment for a physical or that updated MMR shot.
To summarize everything we've unpacked today, let's look at this defining quote directly derived from the state guidelines. Illinois school enrollment requirements are designed to confirm identity, residency, age, and health readiness. That right there is the ultimate bottom line of this entire explainer. Every single document they ask for, from the birth certificate to the lease agreement to the social-emotional screening, ties back to one of those 4 pillars. If you can prove who your child is, where they live, how old they are, and that they are healthy and ready to learn, well, you've won the game. So, I want to leave you with this final vital question. Have you checked your local district's specific deadline today? Remember, the state gives the framework, but your local school district holds the keys. Don't let a tiny local technicality catch you off guard. Go to your district's website right now, find that date, and start your checklist. You have the knowledge, you have the roadmap, and now you are fully equipped for your enrollment quest. Thanks for learning with me today, and hey, best of luck this school year.